Welcome back to Get Golfers Moving. In these sessions, we're all about getting you up off the chair, up off the sofa, away from your desk, and doing some kind of movement. So whether it's the first thing in the morning, you want to get up and get your body moving, whether you've been sat down on the sofa at the desk and you just want to get up and get a little bit of blood flow, or if you want to make this part of a more regular routine for yourself to help regain some movement into your body. So first of all, well done for getting this video started, and well done for making the decision to start moving. You are gonna 100% appreciate this decision, and your golfer is also going to appreciate it as well. So as with all of these sessions, we don't really use any kind of typical exercise equipment, but for today we are going to need a golf club. So you're just going to need one golf club to perform this session, okay? With all these sessions, we start on our back and then we gradually work our way up into standing position, and I do believe that we should spend the majority of our day in a standing position. So I'm going to get you to finish in this position, and then my aim for you and your homework is to just try and spend as much time standing after this session, whether that's putting your laptop onto a higher point to work from home, whether that's walking around the house and getting some jobs done, just something you can spend a little bit more time in a standing position rather than being sat down all day. Right, so we're gonna get started. So I'm gonna create a little bit of space here for myself, and we are gonna come onto our backs with our golf club. So just in this position, we do this all the time in these sessions. I just want you to regain a little bit of focus into your breathing. So we can really be breathing from deep within the belly. Really take deep inhale and a deep exhale. This is your opportunity to free your mind of all the issues from the day, free your mind of anything you've got to do for the rest of the day, anything that happened in the day, any stresses that are coming towards you. This is just your time to just spend 10, 15 minutes focusing on yourself and on your well-being. So just regain your thoughts into this session. And when you feel like you've got control of that, just press the club up and above your head. And then just bring your knees up. So we've now got a 90-degree bend in our hip, 90-degree bend in our knee, and 90-degree bend in our ankle. Now from here, I'm going to get the club and I'm actually going to press it against my thighs. So I'm actually pushing a little bit into this club. And as I push, I'm going to get a little bit of tension from the upper half and a little bit of tension from the lower half, and it's going to really help stabilize and activate my core into this position. So a little bit of tension into this club now, pushing against my thighs. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep my right leg where it is, but just extend my left leg out ahead of me. So I'm really trying to push through the heel. So I'm really trying to extend that heel out as far as I can, and then bring that leg back. And then just do the same on the right leg. So I'm creating some pressure into this left thigh, I'm just extending this right heel out as far as I can. I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to repeat a couple more on each side. Really extend that heel out. Pull it back, and then the right leg. One more each side. And last one. And take a rest there. Relieve that tension. I always like to do this stuff with the core in short bursts, just simply because I feel like if we hold it there for a long period, we get lazy. So I really want you to come out of that and now come back into it. So now bring the legs back up, and now we're going to work on this little bit of upper body mobility. So I don't want you to kind of crank yourself into positions that don't feel comfortable, but I want you to feel like you're getting a little bit of tension here. So we're going to keep the arms straight. I can almost feel like I'm getting a little bit of tension on this club, and then I'm just going to let my hands drop down behind my head. Now if you can go to here and that's your limit, then that's fine. If you can go a little bit further, without knocking that over, if you can go a little bit further, then I just want you to take that a little bit further now. So you can just have a few repetitions and just take it to a depth that feels good for you. And if you're like me and you can quite comfortably get down to the floor, I want you to come back and reverse your grip now. So now I've got my palms facing backwards, and then I'm going to repeat that. And you'll find that that's a lot tighter. So if you found it easy, switch the grip. And then just a few more repetitions here. Really try and keep your core pinned down to the floor. And just see, can we get these hands down to the floor behind us? Notice we're not going into banana back, keeping our back nice and flat on the mat. Just getting a little bit of movement into these arms. Okay, take a rest there. The feet can go down now. I'm just going to do a little bit more work on the core. So what I'm going to get you to do is have this club up ahead of you. Again, you can take your grip back to a normal grip. And all we're thinking about doing is pushing this club as far to the ceiling as possible. All right, so as far up to the ceiling as possible. So all we're going to do is just raise our shoulder blades off the mat and push that club up to the sky as high as we can push. Push, 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 and then come back down. So just rolling this top half of our shoulder blades off the mat, so pushing up, push that club up as high as it goes, and come back down. And we're going to do a few more of these. Push up, 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 up. Just curling up, pushing that club up to the sky. A couple more from here. And last one. Okay, take a rest there, great work. So bring yourself round now, and we're gonna come up onto our knees. So you'll see what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place the grip of the club on the floor, and I'm gonna hold the top of the club. And I've just come into this like low lunge position, okay? So I've got my left leg forward, right leg back, and we're just gonna work a little bit on this right hip flexor. So I wanna be in a position where my knee is at least in line with my hip. Ideally, I can get that knee a little bit behind the hip, but I know for a lot of you that's going to feel like a lot of strain on the front of this right thigh. So I want it to be at least in line with this hip, okay? Club is going to go up ahead of us, and again, I'm going to create a little bit of tension into this club, and all we're going to do from here is just rock the hips back, relieve this tension, and then explode from the glute, and regain that tension on the front of the thigh. So we're squeezing this glute, and getting a big stretch down the front of this right side. So just going to unload that, and reload. And I just want you to go through this, but I really want you to feel like you're squeezing this right glute. This right glute is just going to be absolutely rock hard. It should be absolutely rock hard at the back there. And back down. Just repeat this a few more times. Really trying to get some activation in that right glute. And back. A few more. Really squeeze that right glute. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And back. And last one. Squeeze, 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 and relax. Let's swap legs now. So left leg goes back, right leg goes forward. And we'll do the same again. So now we're thinking about this left glute, and now we're just going to pop the hips forward, squeeze that left glute as hard as you can, and come back. And what I like about this is we're getting a really good kind of stretch on this whole system on the left side now, where normally to stretch hip flexors, people will kind of crank themselves into this position, but we're not really getting any good work done. So here we can just really contract this left glute, squeeze, 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 and release it. And that's going to get some really good work done in that whole system. Nice. One more here. Perfect. And now you're going to come into a standing position with the club in front of you. And now we are going to do the Jimenez. So I'm sure plenty of you have seen this one. So feet around mat width apart. And again, we just got the grip of the club down, we're holding the head of the club, and all we're thinking about doing is pushing our hips as far away from the head of this club as possible. So as I push the club away from me, I drop my hips back. I don't worry too much about keeping straight leg. You can go for a nice generous bend in the leg, because we're thinking now about getting a stretch in these lats. So we're sticking the hips back, and we're just trying to get our arms up and above our head. And we're really thinking about pushing that club away, pushing our hips back, and then bring them back together. We're just going to move between them being together and away from each other. This is a fantastic stretch. Really feel that, but we're just moving the whole time. You're going to feel it a little bit coming into your hamstrings, but we're just coming in to the lats. It's arm over head mobility here. Really getting a nice full system move. Push that club away, push your hips back. One more here. Great work. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have one hand on the club. Same setup. We're going to get a little bit into this stretch, not quite as exaggerated as we were in that last one. And then all we're going to do, I've got my left hand on the club, and I'm going to let my right hand drop down to the floor, okay? And then from this position, all I'm going to do is just open up this hand, look up to the sky, and bring it back down. So I'm going to try and keep my hips relatively straight. I want most of this movement to come from my thoracic spine. And I'm just going to rotate a few times in this position. If you're not embarrassed to do it, this would be a great warm-up. But I know a lot of people are embarrassed to do warm-ups at the golf club, which I totally understand. I feel that myself. I always try and do a sly warm-up without anyone seeing. Always do movements that don't look like a warm-up. Let's do the other side. Movements that don't look like a warm-up that are a warm-up. That's the key. That is the key to playing good golf. Right, other side. So open up. Down. Should do a few on this side. I'm definitely tighter this side. Something I'm definitely aware of. Just keep an eye on your breathing as well as you're doing this. And last one this side. Perfect. And now we're going to do the Dick Van Dyke. So club in the middle between our feet, feet around hip width apart. And all you're thinking about doing this time is moving the club to one way and your hips the other way. So as I push the club to my right, I shift my hips to the left. So I just shift them over. I'm not too worried about keeping straight legged. And then flip it to the other side. You're really getting a good shift in these hips. And just flip it over to the other way. And the other side. Really keep an eye on your breathing. Don't need to go too fast. Shift the club. A couple more here. And take a rest there. You can put the club down for now. And we're just going to repeat our kind of down regulation so you can walk away from this session and just feel re-energized. So the first thing we're going to do, nice even with the feet, nice and upright with the shoulders. Just take the hands all the way up and above your head and then create a big circle all the way around, back down to your waist. Hands all the way up above your head. Really try and reach as high as you can. Create as big a circle as you can. Really feel like you're opening up that chest. 2 more of these. Hands all the way up. Huge circles. Really try and reach as far back as you can. And then 1 more. Hands up. Big circle round. Let the hands come to rest. What you can do now is try and drop left ear down to left shoulder. And then just lift your chin slightly. Really relax your jaw. Take the pressure away from your jaw. And just take a few deep breaths here. Really try and take a deep inhale, deep exhale. Just drop right ear over to right shoulder. Lift that chin. Again, deep exhale, inhale. Good, just let the head become heavy. So just heavy head. And then just rock it over to the left side. Heavy head and drop it over to the right. Back to the left. And finally finish on the right hand side. Guys, fantastic work today. You're finishing this session in a standing position. Your homework now is to not sit down for the next 60 minutes. Let's see if you can get that work done. Fantastic work in today's video. Look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.